Well, nice segue there, considering what we just talked about when it comes to younger voters, especially younger voters of color based on polling, Latino men and black men in particular, moving towards Donald Trump in this election. Fascinating development. Here to talk about that and much more is our good friend, Fox News host, Harris Faulkner on KCMO. Harris, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Oh, my gosh. We are ticking down to Election Day. It's going fast.
It is. It is moving real fast. And you were on it last week. You had a town hall with President Trump focused on female voters in particular down in Georgia. I know a lot of this audience obviously watched it, but as the person who hosted that forum, who was obviously there for it, what did you come away from that town hall thinking about and as it relates to that key swing state and this election at large?
Well, first of all, just knowing that it was an all-women audience, and we know about the gender gap in the polling for former President Trump, it's a reality. It's attackable, and that's why he was there. Like, he's leaning into this now because he knows that if he's present, he has a much better time and opportunity of really turning that around and really, reaching people where they live on some of the issues that matter to them if he shows up. You can't leave your campaign to do everything. So that was a huge plus for him just being in the room. And women were from all over. I know the critics love to say, well, it's a Fox audience. Well, a Fox audience has everybody. That's why we're number one. So, good. Glad. I'm glad they're saying that. So what else we had in the audience? We had audience members who were asking fantastic questions. And my goal was to basically be a moderator there. And I had a couple of my own questions, and follow-up, certainly. That's my job. But they got the ball rolling. We did it city hall style or city council city meeting style. So they came up to a microphone. It's inside of a barn. Mm-hmm. So it was great, cozy, all women. I really thought it was an important moment. And it was a wake-up call to Kamala Harris's campaign, which is why I think you saw Kamala Harris finally sit down with Fox later that day. Like, that came out of nowhere. Then she was late. Then it was rushed. Then it was all the things that we know that it sometimes can be with her. So it wasn't a win. He wins that day. He wins the day again with McDonald's. I mean, it's an uphill battle for her, but she had some paint on the wall yesterday. She made some marks. And I would say to Republican and independent voters who are thinking about voting for Donald Trump, I don't care what the polls show now. 12 days can be an eternity. They'll feel fast, but in reality, people are making up their minds. Now, 25 million people have voted in this country. That's not the total amount of voters. Millions, millions, millions more will vote, we hope, and exercise their democratic right to do that. But right now, everybody really needs to be thinking sharply about how they're going to put their votes in. Mm-hmm. That's the advantage that Democrats have always had. You'll see the greatest push in the next 6 days. You'll see Obama back on the trail. I don't think you'll be seeing as much of Joe Biden after 2 days ago and his little kerfuffle. Lock him up.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking with that. And then the campaign had to get involved. It was a mess. The town hall on CNN last night didn't help her, but she showed up. And I think they both get credit for doing that.
No doubt about it. So, Harris, what is your perception of Donald Trump right now in terms of just, you've interviewed him many times. What kind of mood, what kind of state of mind does he appear to be in right now down the home stretch of his third straight presidential election?
He's not treating it like a home stretch. He's not treating it like, I think we can do this. He's treating this like, I'm going to fight for every vote. And that's what I saw him do. I heard some of the conversations. I was standing with him as he greeted the crowd. I don't know what kind of protocols there are around him now, but he didn't really seem to be bothered with it. He went right into that crowd of women, and Secret Service was like, okay, everybody, reflexively go. And we weren't that far away from them, but there was a Secret Service enforced barrier of space between us. There was an egress, I guess is the best way to put it. He's leaning in, and with all of the advice of, and I know it's happening, with all of the advice that we know the Secret Service and local municipalities, sheriff's departments, and police, you should have seen the Georgia law enforcement there. Oh, Mike, they came from all over to protect him. He needs that everywhere he goes. He better get that when he comes to New York. Now, I know this is a blue city and a cobalt blue state, but don't let Georgia embarrass you, would be my caution. So he knows he's got to do stuff to win those votes, and he's willing. And I don't want to oversell this because I'm only a witness to this. I'm obviously not with the campaign, and I'm not him. But what he's doing is dangerous. And, you know, he's made up his mind he's going to do this, and he's not going to do it halfway. And so when you're standing near him and he goes into a crowd, everybody around him is aware of the fact that, okay, head's on a swivel, including all of our camera people, everybody. So when he goes to those massive events, I want people to think about that. Like, it shouldn't be like that in America. This is very, very, like, this is the kind of stuff that happens in countries where they don't have the kind of freedom we have. And, you know, where I think this current administration has really missed the ball. And you heard a little bit from President Biden a week ago saying that if Iran continues to threaten Trump, it's an act of war if they hurt him or kill him or whatever. I'm paraphrasing him, but he used the words act of war. Yeah, that's fine. But then the re-ask at that news conference was, well, why didn't you give him the military assets he's asked for his protectors to keep him safe? And finally, Biden said, I'm telling, you know, Defense and Pentagon to give him whatever he needs. We can't have disruption like this and fear in our country. And I'm not saying it has to be perfect, but it shouldn't be the front headlines.
No doubt about it.
The fact that there and that Kamala Harris is out there too, we forget this is about causing chaos in this country. So if you're out front, I mean, I really do. I pray for our country. I don't care who's running in that sense. I think it's particularly a dicey time, but mostly for him because it's been 2 attempts on his life. So I put all of that into what is he doing? How is he thinking on the final stretch? That he has work to do. And I don't know if that informs voters one way or the other. I'm just telling you what it is.
Harris Faulkner, Fox News. Faulkner Focus coming up at 10 o'clock Central Time on Fox News. Of course, outnumbered after that. Always good to have her on. Of course, her days in...
Keith?
Well, no. I'm just resetting. I'm not wrapping up the conversation. I mean, unless you've got to go.
Like my best Chiefs fan.
You're okay.
My go-to guy.
I've got 7 minutes if you have 7 minutes, so I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, you got it.
Okay.
You got it.
I just don't know when the meetings start for Faulkner Focus. But if you've got 7 more minutes, we're continuing this conversation.
I've been working for 4 hours.
Okay, that's a good point. Fair enough. I know. Well, let me ask you this then, Harris. You know, we talk about your town hall, the state of Donald Trump. You mentioned the town hall last night for Kamala Harris. What is it, as you just analyze it, what is it that is not connecting for her and her campaign, especially with younger male voters of color down the home stretch?
This is so good. So on our roundtable on Faulkner Focus, we had some of the top influencers for young voters today. And one actually is the youngest in his county to ever be elected as a legislator. And I mean, these are young. Some of the names I think you'll recognize: C.J. Pearson, and you know what they told me I think is true across the board: authenticity and specificity. They don't really know who she is, kind of Mariah Carey style. I don't know her, and they don't understand her when she talks. So they need drilled down answers on the things that matter. And, you know, Isabel Brown, who is a wonderful influencer, but also a speaker, very young, fresh college grad, was explaining to her what really and truly is the crux of the situation. She said women are being told what to think and what to do. And she said, you know, I'm a woman. I'm being constantly pandered to on this campaign trail about the only thing I'm supposed to care about, according to Kamala Harris, is a woman's supposed constitutional right to an abortion. And then I'm going to quote her here. She says, yeah, Kamala Harris is failing to recognize that for voters under 45, only 9% support the all-access abortion agenda, including abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy that Kamala Harris is running on this campaign. 9 in 10 voters support some restrictions on some or all abortions. So there's a clear disconnect with where the culture of America is today and Kamala Harris. All of that is a quote from very young, very smart and engaged voter, Isabel Brown, who was on the roundtable today. And I mean, you talk about the young men. This is where the left thinks they have got it in the bag and can pull even some conservative women, which is why you now see Kamala Harris going to places where, I mean, Democrats don't win, and kind of putting her hand up to the blue wall as if to say, I know I have you, now I'm going to go try to get some of his. Now, is that the flex to make everybody think she's confident? She really needs to display that when she's asked a question at a town hall like last night on CNN. She was at times a deer in the headlights. And when it came to the border questions, our probably greatest domestic national security issue in a decade, we're all exposed, every state, for the crime, the trafficking, the drugs, the evil, the criminals that are coming across that border. If she can't handle that, I don't know which women in America she thinks she's got a hold on. She's now said, oh, I got you guys in the blue states. Let me go to the red states. Well, you heard from Isabel Brown. I don't think it's confusing to think that Kamala Harris also has a woman problem. Now, is it like Donald Trump's? No. But she's also never been president. So she can't exactly say, now remember what I did. You can say all of this, meaning Trump, about him, but remember what I did would be his comeback. She can't really say that because she doesn't want to talk about what she did over the last 3.5 years with Joe Biden. And that's new. That's like in the last 72 hours. Like the Kamala before was part of all of the big decision making. And the vice president now is saying that she didn't have anything to do with him or any of that. I frankly don't know what to believe. And I don't know that voters will either. So black men are voters. And they're looking at it like everybody else. And they're saying, but wait, with all of that going on, she called black men out in shame if they don't vote for her. And she used Obama to do it. The mansplaining guy standing akimbo. You know, you're not really black men if you don't support that black woman. How condescending can you be? So she's got some work to do, too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Harris. Well, I know we're sitting here in Kansas City. The Royals made the playoffs, ended up losing to the Yankees. The Chiefs are 6-0 for the first time in 13 years. Are you going to be able to watch a little bit of the Raiders game this weekend, Sunday afternoon, or are you going to be too locked into this selection, which at that point will be 9 days away?
Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that I can't keep my priorities straight? Of course I'm going to watch the Chiefs. I mean, that's good. Like, are you going to be with your children, or are you going to be worried about something that's 9 days away?
Good. We're
my
testing
kids
you.
And I will be together with our Kansas City merch from head to toe. Are you kidding me? And that's important. You know what? The election is critical. And I love what I do as a journalist, and I am incredibly blessed, as are you, Pete, to be part of any conversation that informs voters, that digs into the issues, that hosts town halls, those sorts of things, and that really can talk plain speak like you and I do on the radio when you are so kind to have me on. The balance in life is what our kids need to see us do at this moment. Mm-hmm. Because the division in this country is so unhealthy. They need to see us navigate that and have a balance of love and God and country in our lives. So my family and I will be watching the Chiefs.
That is a perfect answer. I could not agree more during these times to have those outlets beyond the news, beyond politics, and you are spot on, as always. Harris Faulkner. We'll be watching Faulkner Focus, 10 o'clock, outnumbered right after that, our time here. And thank you so much, as always, Harris. We're so grateful for the time.
Thank you. God bless you and your country. Go Chiefs!
There you go. Harris Faulkner putting a bow on it on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Outstanding as always.